Education meeting will now come to order at 6:33 p.m. Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Here.
Rose. Here. Carl.
Here.
Hitzke. Here. Duran.
Here.
Billetier. Here. Aguirre.
Here. Okay. I don't see anybody present, but do we have anybody present to this evening who wishes to address the board for citizen comments? Nobody? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Board of Education, does anybody on the board have any comments that they would like to make? Obviously, it's the last school board meeting of this school year, and so everyone's looking forward to those that get the summer off. Those are looking forward to summer. Many of you do. I do not, so just another way to find daycare. This is our last summer of daycare, so we're good there. And then moving on the code of conduct. Eric?
Today we are on code number 11. This code reads, I will model continuous learning and work to ensure good governance by taking advantage of board member development opportunities, such as those sponsored by my state and national school board associations, and encourage my fellow board members to do the same. The author goes on to say, this means that you also have a responsibility to professionally grow your skills.
And good opportunity to remind yet again that there's a million free opportunities that are on the IASB website, and you can even go back and watch some webinars of old topics. And I know we all get weekly, monthly emails of various upcoming webinars that you can participate in, but even if you can't do those webinars, if they don't coincide with your lunch time, you can go back, you can register for them and then go back and watch them after the fact too. So if there's a topic of concern for anybody, that's something to, or of interest to anybody, something to keep in mind and do that. And then obviously we all have gone to the IASB III conference in November, so that's a good opportunity too. All right, well, moving right along to the District 75 reports. We'll start with the business office.
Good evening. In your board packet this evening, there are 3 items for your review and consideration. The first is an encumbrance and expenditure authorization. Because we do not anticipate finalizing our budget until August, but our fiscal year begins on July 1. We're asking for your permission to go ahead and encumber and expend up to 75% of that, primarily for things like salaries and benefits, so that we can pay our staff in July. The second item is a resolution for the Board of Education of Mungaline School District 75, requesting the conveyance of certain property from the Special Education District of Lake County, Morrisville. As I've discussed the purchase of this property for some time now, and it is coming to fruition in the next few weeks. And finally, we took some time over the course of the last several months to review several auditing firms and are recommending for your approval this evening the auditing firm of Miller Cooper. Any questions? Thank you.
Moving on to student services.
Hi, we're so excited to talk to you tonight about student services. We're going to do introductions first. I'm Cindy Cementa, Student Services Coordinator for Lincoln and Washington.
Laura Ehas, I'm the Student Services Coordinator at MGN Sandburg.
Hello, I'm Carrie Huddleston, a special education teacher at Mechanics Grove.
And I'm Kelly McEwen, a special education teacher at Mechanics Grove.
Hey, we're super proud of our District 75 student services programming and really excited to be able to review all of the wonderful things that we have going on here in District 75. First, we want to talk about our district philosophy. Anna, can you? Yes. Sorry. So our district philosophy is that we want to prioritize students with disabilities being placed in their community school. We seek to provide individualized opportunities, and we problem solve any obstacles that limit student access to their education. And we want to team with parents and guardians to build trusting partnerships for working together in the best interest of their students. We have a continuum of services in all of our buildings, and a lot of what you're going to hear tonight we have across our district, but we're highlighting different features of our programming in the different buildings. So all of our buildings have a continuum of service from what we call least restrictive to most restrictive. So first up is Lincoln. Our least restrictive option is itinerant services, and this is where a student just comes over to Lincoln for therapy services, but they're not actually a part of one of our preschool programs. Next, we have our preschool for all blended program. So this is considered a general education preschool program. When the program is filled, it can go up to 20 students. We have one teacher and one paraprofessional. And then all of our related services, therapy, speech, social work, occupational therapies can be provided either inside that blended program or down the hall in the therapy room or a combination. Next, we have our early childhood program. This is a special education program, so only students with IEPs are in the program. When the class is filled, it can go up to 10 students, one teacher and one paraprofessional. Same thing for our related services. They can be provided pushed into that program or down the hall in the therapy room or a combination. And then our last option at Lincoln is new this year. It's our structured early childhood program. And so this has one teacher and two paraprofessionals, and we try to keep the class 6 or fewer students. This is really for our most needy students. Most of the children in this program are nonverbal. Many are non-ambulatory. Most require hand-over-hand assistance for most things that they do. So it's a really supportive structured program. Kind of looking at a day at Lincoln. So all of our programs are 2.5 hours a day. All of our programs have whole group time, small group time, free choice play time, and gross motor opportunities for kids. And then highlighting our tri-district structured classroom. This is a cooperative classroom between District 79, District 75, and District 73. So we have students from all 3 districts in this program. It has allowed us to bring students back from CEDAL that were previously having to be outplaced. We started kind of taking back our programs in the 16-17 school year, and we in the fall will have 8 programs that we have taken back from CEDAL. So we're really proud of that. And CEDAL often mentions us as a district to reach out to when other districts are thinking about taking programs back because we've been so successful in doing so. Next is our continuum of service at Washington. So it starts with general education with just consult services. So that's not direct support to the child. It's more teacher to teacher support services. Then we have 3 program options where our general education classroom is the student's home base. Our general education classrooms have 1 teacher and 20 to 24 students. Our first model we call integrated. And so this is more of a push-in model and co-teaching model, where our special educators go into the classroom and provide services within that general education classroom to the student instead of the student coming out of the general ed classroom. Our next model we call resource, and this is more of a pull-out model. So the special educator picks the student up, brings them down to the resource room for direct instruction, targeting their IEP goals, and then otherwise they spend the majority of their day in the general education classroom. Our next one is called instructional, and this is more of a core replacement model. So the student can take a specific subject area, so the majority of their literacy block or the majority of their math block is taken in a special education environment, but otherwise they're in the general education environment for the remainder of their school day. Then our most restrictive is when that general education classroom is no longer the student's home base, but a special education classroom is the student's home base. And so then we look for mainstreaming opportunities back into that general education classroom for students once they're in the most restrictive programming. The really unique thing about our programming is you can mix and match, which truly allows us to be individualized. So if you need an instructional program for literacy, you can have that, but maybe you only need integrated support for math, and you can have that also. So we can really mix and match across our continuum to truly be individualized. What we really start with at Washington is Eagle Pride, and the P in Eagle Pride stands for place where all belong. Part of running inclusive programming is really having the philosophy and mindset that we value differences and individuality, and so we really work on belonging at Washington. So it's kind of part of our embedded in our daily practices, lots of cooperative work. You can see the students all working together. It's on our window. We have our reading dogs come in. So just a lot of inclusivity. Part of having those inclusive environment, part of being a place where I belong is having inclusive environments. So we've done a lot of work in regard to this. We have lots of flexible seating options. We have ball chairs and chairs that go on the floor and light up chairs and all kinds of things to meet unique learner needs so they can feel comfortable while they're learning. We have regulation stations in all of our classrooms. So this typically consists of a cozy corner with a beanbag chair and then tools that we have taught the children to support regulation. So if they're feeling overwhelmed and need a place to go, they're taught to go to that corner where they can self-regulate and then rejoin the class. We have timers to help them not spend a lot of time in there and start to play, but it's really a successful tool. And then we have energy regulations. We've got little kids with lots of energy and a long school day. So we have all kinds of options for them to regulate their energy. We've set up an indoor swing, which is really helpful for many kids that need that kind of proprioceptive feedback for their system. We have hallway paths, so students can step out of their classroom and do a quick hallway path and then jump back into the classroom. We have an obstacle course set up where kids can come down to a room and run through an obstacle course and kind of get their energy out, and then back to class they go. Okay, I'm gonna turn things over to Laura to talk about some highlights at MG.
So as we continue, the continuum stays pretty similar as you move from building to building. It's just that developmentally a few things change. And so when students move over to MG, the focus in our intermediate building is about building leadership with the Leader in Me program, but also about building independence. And so you will notice that many of our programs are able to be offered across Motto and our dual classrooms. Our instructional programs in particular, we do have some bilingual special educators who are able to provide those programs in both languages. So they are able to take the students, replace their literacy, and give them both that like a 50-50 model like being done in their classroom and replicate that. Other things that kind of change is, like Cindy said, we can cross those programs. So you may be in an instructional language arts class, but then you can be still in an integrated math. But the length of time of the programs lengthens because attention span lengthens, the rigor of certain academics, things like that. So those are the changes. So we have Carrie and Kelly here, who are two of our talented special education teachers who are actually teaching a they share self-contained classrooms over at Mechanics Grove. And they're going to give you a snapshot of their program and what we're doing across the district in all of our self-contained programs.
Thank you, Laura, for that intro. We also wanted to take a moment to thank you for inviting us here to talk about something that we are so passionate about. And also we want to thank the Board of Education and Administration for continuing to support us through the years. Kelly and I have taught in the district for over 20 years, and your continued support, we feel it and appreciate it so much. And furthermore, we know the students feel it. So thank you for that support. We're going to start out this evening by talking about some core values of the District 75 self-contained programs.
Okay, first I'm going to talk about two of the points there up here that go really hand in hand. We believe all children can learn. That's a main philosophy. And we also meet the students where they are at. Students all learn at different rates, and these programs give them the opportunity to learn at their own pace while also pushing them and keep them growing. We meet each student where they're at and individualize their educational curriculum based on what they need, continuously pushing them. The district has always provided resources for the students, and we use the resources for each student that's going to work best for each student. Each child is celebrated every day for who they are, what they accomplish, and the goals that they're working towards accomplish in all of our programs. Above all, we believe all students can learn, and it's vital to their success to meet them where they are at. We also believe that relationships and rapport building come first, and that also ties into the positive behavior approach that we talked about in the last bullet. One thing we do in our classrooms is we run class meetings every day. This really nurtures our classroom community and has them feel part of something. Our small class size, and for some students, having them over multiple years has led to us having a very close relationship with the students and basing most of our classroom management on a positive behavior approach creates a level of trust with the students and a feelings of success for the students. And we believe that they run best when the students trust each other and have positive relationships. Our classes feel more like families. I recently had a student that was writing in her author's notebook. We asked them to write something about school and how they were feeling this year. And she wrote, "My class is just like a family. We all help each other," which is the perfect description of how we want our children to feel. We also celebrate each other's wins on a daily basis. Another side story, we have a student that every time almost he completes a piece of work, he wants to show it to every student, every paraprofessional, and everybody high fives. And everybody is excited for him, and then goes and puts in his mailbox ready to go. And then that's catching then everybody else wants to celebrate each other. So everybody is always excited for each other and they want everybody to succeed. And we believe that when you feel part of something and like you belong, children are successful.
Great. Another core value we have is that executive functioning skills must be explicitly taught, especially since these are skills that will impact all areas of their lives. We find that students in our classrooms need support with organization, time management, decision-making, emotional regulation, task initiation, problem solving, and transitioning from one activity to another. So we do provide direct instruction in those areas. Students have opportunities to practice using these skills throughout the day. For example, using checklists, using their daily schedules, using timers. Some students even rate themselves on daily scales that go home to assess how they feel that their day went. We also are always promoting students to use problem-solving skills because this further strengthens executive functioning skills and also helps develop their self-esteem. I'd also like to touch on how we provide a structured and predictable schedule and environment for our students. Helping keep this consistent schedule helps reduce anxiety in our students, helps keep structure for us to the student, helps define their day. It also helps the student understand the classroom expectations. We encourage students to be flexible, but we know that sometimes changes are hard for them. In our classrooms, we keep a change board posted in the front of the room where it lets them know of any known changes. So that way they frequently are proactive, come in, they'll check our daily schedule, they'll check the change board just to make sure they know what's coming. And it gives them a sense of comfort to know how their day is going to look. It might look different. Another thing we do is structure our physical environment in a way that makes sense to our students. Our classrooms are designed, we strategically place furniture, sometimes it's colored tape, to define their spaces. So their regulation station, the classroom workstations, the whole group area, teacher areas, those are clearly defined. So students, again, their environment makes sense to them and they feel more comfortable when the environment makes sense to them. We also integrate visual and sensory supports daily. In a few slides, I'm going to give some examples of some of the visual supports that we use. We know that these supports, again, help reduce anxiety, helps promote an environment that makes sense to the student, helps them have a calm environment. It also helps teach the expectations and help motivate the students. I will touch briefly also on some of the sensory supports we use. We know that at times our students are overstimulated and they need to have some calming breaks to just kind of get their mind into space to learn, ready to learn again. Sometimes they need a sensory support, whether it's like a flex seating type of thing. If they need more input, they might need a weighted blanket. They might need fidgets. They might need a sensory or a calming video. We also have students that require more movement in order to get themselves in a space where they're ready to learn again. So we might take them bouncing in the trampoline in the sensory room. We might take them for a walk around the building with an adult. We might take them outside for a few minutes to use the swings. We also have students who have building-wide jobs. So two of the students in my room have a job where they have daily deliveries. So they'll stop in the office where they're also working on their interpersonal skill or their social skills, asking the office staff, "Oh, do you have any deliveries for me today?" They'll load up the cart and then we'll deliver things around the school, again, to give them not only that, again, interaction with others, but it gives them the opportunity to get some movement, pushing the cart. It's like a heavy work system where they can also get some sensory input as well. Next, I'll touch on De-escalation strategies. We know that our students can get escalated. They're wired a little bit different. They can be on sensory overload. The amygdala is kind of going out of wire sometimes. It is our job to be their calm, whether it's providing visuals for them, giving them a quiet space. Our number one job is to let them know that they're safe. We are there for them. We will often reduce our language in this time because we know that further talking might escalate them more. So we'll give them space, but again, let them know that we are there for them. And also when students are once again in a regulated space, we'll remind them, we're here for you. It's our job to find strategies to help you get back to where you need to be. And we always remind them, all feelings are okay. It's how we act upon these feelings. That's what's truly important.
Okay, and then also another thing that's very important in our roles is advocacy and collaboration. So being a self-contained teacher means you're constantly advocating for your students, trying to figure out what works for them, trying to make these things happen for the students, asking yourself, can you help them? We advocate for materials and resources, and the district has been fabulous at providing us what we need for every student. Members of our self-contained team are constantly collaborating with OT, PT, our paraprofessionals, speech, social work, members of the administrative team, constant collaboration with parents, sharing successes, sharing things that we need to continue working on with them. It's really, really important to work together. Collaboration also means that sometimes we're working with outside providers, inviting them into our classrooms, saying, how can we work together to support the child? Our students could not be successful without us advocating for them, being their voice, and collaborating with all the people who work with them and are important in this. Also, we touched on the positive behavior approach, and teaching independence is really, really, really important. We want them to have skills so they can be independent in the classroom, but then also outside the classroom. So amongst their daily, they often have rotations, or we run stations in our room, and each station is typically a small group with an adult. But each academic area, so in both reading and math, they typically have one small group that is independent work, something that they can do. So they're learning independent, because it's easy when you have all these adults to have them always be working with an adult, but we want them to have that opportunity to work independently at least a small time every day. Also, we want to practice life skills with them. It's something as simple maybe as pushing in your chair or picking up after themselves, spilling a drink and cleaning it up yourselves. I'll never forget looking over and seeing one of my students put his jacket on for the first time. He was on the floor, flipped it over, and he was so excited that he could put his jacket on. And that is something that he needed to learn how to do, but hadn't learned yet. And it's so exciting. So we kind of use, we'll help you. Then we do it together, and then it's your turn to do it. So these are all life skills that's going to be, far beyond when we have them. Okay, and then we're going to talk about, these are some components and some really important parts of our day. We're kind of going to highlight a few things. I'm going to start with Wolfpack time. Wolfpack time is something awesome that we do at MG that just specific to MG, but I think you guys have Eagle time. And our kids push into a gen ed classroom at their level. So third graders go with third grade, fourth graders go into a fourth grade gen ed classroom, and fifth graders go into a fifth grade gen ed classroom. And most of our students do this. There are a few who maybe struggle with that are not able to do that. But we do that, and that's how they start their day. This gives the students an opportunity to make friendships with gen ed peers, and it gives them an opportunity to see gen ed peer models. And it also gives gen ed peers an opportunity to see our students. We've had a lot of friendships emerge during this time, and I'm going to say that our gen ed teachers have been fantastic at including our students. I'm going to say today, an example of this, that a little girl walked in today and she said, I am going to cry, I'm so happy, because her Wolfpack time partner, they had done kind things they were saying about everybody in the classroom. And so she brought back one that they had said about her, that the general education teacher had made sure that our child had one, and that all of her students said something kind about her. So she said some of these things: you always cooperate with people. You have a creative and cool mind. I'm so glad we're friends. Thank you. You cooperate, you accept others. You're easy to get along with. You're honest. And she was so touched by the fact that her gen ed peers thought this of her. And they actually laminated it, and I think they're hoping that the fifth graders will put it in their lockers at Stanford, but it touched this child in such a way that, I mean, you can't. I don't know, it was just amazing. Another thing that we talk about up here is choice time. Choice time is an earned time in our classrooms. And that happens about 10 minutes at the conclusion of our morning and at the end of the day. And there's a variety of STEAM activities available, blocks, magnetiles, puzzles, and other items. It shows their learning in a different way. It shows their creativity. I have one student that was kind of struggling with other things. They're building. They're showing me that they can do a really beautiful job with building. It's a beautiful time. They also are working together and talking to each other and encouraging each other. And this is one of my favorite stories. We have these animal balance game. And I think it's very difficult. I've never been able to do it. A child that's been working on it all year. And about a month ago, he balanced for the first time. And it was such a celebration for not only him, but then everyone around us. We took videos, we took pictures, and since then, everybody is trying to do this. One of the paraprofessionals went out and bought a second game because now they all want to try it. So, and it teaches so many cool concepts. It's balance, it's just, I cannot do it, but it's interesting for them. But every child now has tried it, and they all have their own special way that they might do it. It might not look just the same, but it's pretty cool. So that's another part. And then individualized instruction. We touched upon the individualized instruction. Every child, we meet them where they're at. We teach them at their level, but we want to push them so that they continue learning. So these are some pictures of some of our kids in our small group. Also going to say with that our paraprofessionals, which the district has supported, has been super important in doing that individualized instruction. So we are able to instruct, and then the paraprofessionals can take them in the groups and they can reinforce what we've taught. So we're so appreciative for the gift of those wonderful people that support us in our programs.
All right, next I'll go over some of the components that you will see on a daily basis in our settings. I know we talked about some of our sensory supports. Here we see some examples of flex seating. The district has been great in providing us many different types of flex seating. Here we see the cube chairs. Even these students seem to be quite large for these cube chairs, but they found that they liked the confined space. So like, you still fit, you can use it. We have beanbag chairs. Another common sensory support is headphones, sound canceling headphones. The middle, we addressed predictable routines earlier today. You'll see the schedule. We have a whole class visual schedule, and throughout the day, as we go through the subject areas, we move the pieces down. So students have a strong visual of where we're at in the day. They also have individual schedules that I'll show in just a moment. There's the change board that we were mentioning. Again, we write down known changes, go over them with the students. It just gives them peace of mind to know, okay, changes are coming. I can handle it. I can be flexible. And then some of our other visual supports, we have photographs of, and I do have some examples. Sometimes it's easier to see the actual item. So this is an example of an individualized personal schedule. Their day is outlined, and then we taught them in the beginning of the year, and we do this as a whole group. When one task is done, they take it off, and it goes into the pocket indicating, okay, we're done with that for the day. Those of you who teach special ed, know I'm sure you're doing great. Velcro and lamination is our best friend. Another example of a visual support that we often use is our first then. And just like its name indicates, we work with the child to show them, okay, first, here's your task. In this case, it was first, we're going to do morning meeting, then you get to take a break. So again, just a visual of what the expectation is now, but what's coming next. Another type of visual we use are break cards. Some of our students, we encourage them to verbally ask for a break. Other students with minimal speaking might use break tickets, something like that. Checklists. Our students find checklists very helpful with transitions. This particular checklist is a transition from when he is leaving PE, and it gives a list of the tasks that he needs to do at the end of PE to go on to the next part of his day. So again, it gives them ownership and a sense of accomplishment when they can say, hey, I did this, I did this. Okay. We also use token boards on a daily basis. So again, this helps with motivation. The student has a choice of awards on the back of the token board.
They earn their tokens for completing their tasks, and then they get, this particular child was trying to earn a snack candy, our popular award choices. Sometimes we customize the choice boards to be something that they're highly interested in. This particular student loves the solar system, so after he earns his pieces, he gets his reward that he chose. Just a few others I'll share. A calming board is something we use often. So if a student is starting to get escalated, we will offer, okay, what do you want to choose to help you get back to a learning state? And then they'll choose what item. Social stories are something that we use frequently. Social stories are narratives of social skills that we're working on with a particular child. A child was struggling with being told, no, we're not right now, or you need to wait. So this social story is titled, When No is the Answer. Then here's a favorite. I will keep swear words in my head. Another social story. We talked about how our classrooms are defined spaces, so students know what to expect in each space. So we do have labels for our classroom. And this, we have work with teacher areas, fine motor areas. Most of our areas are labeled in our classroom, so students know what to expect in those areas. We do the zones of regulation, so some of our students that use verbal skills, they will identify what zone they're in. Some of our students who may not be using verbal skills, they can just use more of the Velcro to identify how they're feeling. So again, they're just tools that we can use to make the students feel comfortable in their surroundings. This particular one is kind of a low tech support. I feel, and I need. So those are some examples of the supports that we use. All right. All right, next, we'd like to talk about some of the successes and opportunities that we see in our settings. And this is something I know Kelly and I, one of the things that we enjoy the most about these classrooms is that there's always things to celebrate. Sometimes it might seem like something very trivial, a small thing like putting on your jacket, but it's a huge success for our kids. So this is, something that we enjoy the most, getting to see these opportunities. So I'd like to highlight some of the things that we have seen in the program. Students make friends in their community. This is true within our classroom setting and in the classrooms that they push into for integration. A fun story that happened just recently, maybe about a month ago, a student who tends to be very withdrawn, prefers to not interact with others, just spontaneously started a game of hide and seek during choice time. Typically, we don't do hide and seek during choice time because I'm like, oh, is this going to lead to silliness? There's not that many hiding places. But to see the students, they initiated it themselves. They were interacting totally appropriately. And it was very powerful just to see students who typically don't reach out to their peers and are not interacting, just completely spontaneously start this game of hide and seek. So that was beautiful to see. And since I encourage my students to be flexible, I myself was flexible. And I now say, hey, you want to do hide and seek during choice time? Go for it. We also are so proud of our students when we see them able to use their communication skills, whether this is a verbal communication or they're using their talkers, their AAC devices to communicate. This is such a powerful tool that in them learning to advocate for themselves. A couple quick stories I can share. Around the holidays, we had something that just made me so emotional when this mom reached out to me and she said that her child had for the first time ever used their talker to ask for something that they wanted for the holidays, for Christmas. And she's like, do you happen to know what this item is? And she described the toy. She's like, do you have this in your classroom? And I'm like, no, but we did some detective work and we found the exact dollhouse this child was communicating on their talker that they wanted. And that just was so moving to me because I have 4 kids. It's very easy for them to just rattle off the things that they want. And we know the joy that we feel when we can give our children items that they're asking for. And this student got that for the first time just this past Christmas. So again, it just made me very emotional that she was able to do that and just how thrilled she was to get the toy that she had asked for. We also had a student advocate for themselves using their talker. She found the icons to indicate doctor and sick. So then we knew, okay, she's not feeling well. We need to look into this more. So again, seeing them able to advocate and get their needs is so powerful and always amazing for us to see.
We've also seen an increased awareness and acceptance of disabilities in the school. Because the students in the school, in the general education setting, see our students, they meet our students, they see them during Wolfpack time, they're more accepting in general. They understand people who might be different from them. And we've also provided some education throughout the year, which I think is really important in that acceptance piece. A personal example of this is we said kids that go into Wolfpack time. I have one of my students who is non-speaking, and so communication looks different. It's an iPad to communicate, and it doesn't matter. The students have found a way to communicate with this child. He is like a celebrity when he walks into their classroom. They see him in the hallways and it's high fives for everybody. It is the coolest thing. They ask him to play with them at recess and he is just out there playing with them all. It is the coolest thing because he has just assimilated straight into the classroom. And speaking with the classroom teacher, she said, really, they've taken it up. Like the students have done that. He was invited to, they had some celebration and he was invited to celebration. So, and that's been happening. We have another teacher who has said to our, like, can he come in for a little bit more of my time? Can he spend time with us for content? Can he do a little bit more with us? So we've had like some great things happen, which is kind of not related to the awareness and acceptance, but the teachers have become more aware and accepting too. Another thing we've seen, students learning to write their name. I think in third grade, they're going to come, we know how to write their name. Not everybody knows how to write their name. So that moment when they learn, I've had a few students learn how to write their name. You just given them the gift of a signature in the world is a really, really important place. And then the last name, I mean, that is like mind blowing when they can do that. That's awesome. When they can do it without a model, you say, sit down and write your name and they do it. It is awesome. Also, another thing we've seen is students increase the amount of time that they can attend to a task. We have students that might not be able to sit for any length of time coming into us in third grade. By the end of the year, maybe they're sitting for 5 minutes. That difference is instruction. We've had 15 seconds is not really enough time to do instruction. 5 minutes, we can do a little bit of instruction. It's very exciting.
Our last bullet point talks about getting our students into the community. We do have some families due to home circumstances, they don't always have the opportunities to go out into the community. So we have we've experienced 2 successful field trips, one to a science museum and the other to a gymnastics factory. And again, it's so rewarding to see them enjoy new experiences that they might not have had before. We're always looking for new and meaningful ways to get them involved in the community. And I know that's something that they continue to do at Pearl Sandburg as well as they move up through the grades. So if you have creative ideas for field trips, please pass them along to us. We're always looking.
And safety is also, we really have to keep that in mind. So they had a great time. We did gymnastics factory last week and they came and they said it was like the best day ever. So it was really, really cool.
So in closing, we want to again thank you for supporting our programs. We look forward to seeing what exciting things are in store in the upcoming years and for the future of our programs. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, so looking over to Carl Sandburg, like I said before, the continuum of services stays pretty similar. A couple of things that do change though is that some of our programs are more of a pull-out model where the student's home base is a general ed classroom and a special educator will come and will pull the student for their services. When you go over to Carl Sandburg, the majority of our services are slated into classes. So it's not a pull-out model in the same way. So when they're handed a schedule, it says, I'm going to language arts and it's just a special educator's name. And so it becomes more of that model where they're going from class to class, similar to their peers in the building. In addition, as our elementary programs primarily focus on language arts and math, when we get into Carl Sandburg, we do focus and have more programs that support our science and our social studies as well, because those classes, like like we've said before, as developmentally the need and the rigor and things change, we need to support that in the same way. So our self-contained classes over at Sandberg, what the biggest change there is that we start to infuse some life and some vocational skills into what they're doing. And our biggest program right now is, if you look at that middle picture, it's our coffee club. I mean, coffee makes everyone happy, right? So, so our students practice a number of different skills. They go on regular field trips to Jewel. They make their own grocery list. They figure out what it is that they need, all the different components. They have a way that they go and they take the orders from all of the teachers in the building. You can order your coffee by Thursday at 3 o'clock. I miss that deadline often. But then they come and they deliver it. So the students make the coffee. They follow the order. They deliver them. Many of our teachers have their own punch cards because they're regular members of the coffee club. So we practice a lot of different life and vocational skills with our students as they're getting older, and we're looking towards Mundelein High School. Next. This is across the whole district, but it's something that I wanted to highlight. Many of our students have different verbal skills. So we have some students who are completely nonverbal. We have some students who have limited verbal abilities. And then we also have students who have lots of verbal abilities, but unintelligible speech. So you can't necessarily understand what it is that they're trying to communicate to you. So many of our students, in collaboration with our tech department, and we have an assistant tech itinerant who comes and works with our staff to try to train us, and in collaboration with parents, because these are their children's voices and we need to be working all together. All of our students that need this have different tools, different software. Many of them have iPads like Carrie and Kelly showed you. We also have a student who's currently using an eye gaze machine, and it's opened a whole new world of being able to share a little bit of what she's thinking on a daily basis. So bringing in programming and developing self-contained programming is bigger than just the classroom and the program. It's also about the supports that you have to build across the building. And so next slide, Anna. One of the things that we had to think about was providing some sort of sensory or cool down space in our buildings. And we were very strategic about placing them near our self-contained classrooms, but they are used for all students. And they are always used with supervision of an adult in the building, but they're developmentally appropriate for the age level. So you'll see that there's more like soft furniture, little houses you can climb into to get that contained space. A little bit bigger furniture, different options as you get older. And this is something that you can go into because you're frustrated and you need just a few minutes away to calm down. We also have students who regularly have this scheduled into their day because we know that they need it to keep going and be able to access more learning. Next. We have, with bringing all of these students into our self-contained programs, developed an adaptive PE program, K-8. They have gross motor time at Lincoln, but then we have adaptive PE from K through 8. It is taught by our general ed PE teachers who have a certification in adaptive PE, and they have learned to be very creative in terms of how they instruct. You'll see this picture at the top. They're doing relay races where they're hitting balloons with tennis rackets instead of playing traditional tennis with the small ball. And they're doing that and they're playing a relay race. They do a lot of the different activities, but they're doing it in a smaller class size. There's less stimulation, there's less sound. It's not as loud as some of the gyms. In addition, we've run a Peer Buddies program at both MG and Sandberg, where students were able to apply to be able to be peer buddies who enter into these classes and a few days a week come in and partner with our students because it's more fun to play with more people, frankly. But also because then we're all modeling and making more friendships. Another thing, a big focus in all of our programs is trying to give our students access to as many things as their gen ed peers have access to. At Sandberg, there's two traditions. There's an all-school volleyball tournament. There's also an all-school kickball tournament that just happened last Friday. And one of the things that the adaptive PE teacher realized was that our students weren't able to participate and compete in the same way. So she created an alternative. So we did a volleyball tournament and we did a kickball tournament. They played the teachers. They made t-shirts, they had matching t-shirts, they were cheering each other on. It was amazing. And so our teachers actually volunteered their plan time to play volleyball and kickball with our kids. And it was a great time. Next. We are running adaptive specials as well in the elementaries. This includes music, art, library, and discovery den. Again, being creative in terms of how can we help our students be able to access some of those fun experiences that you get in your specials program without the overwhelm of the large class and different pieces. The special teachers have been very creative in finding adaptive materials, adaptive scissors, paint sticks, things like that. But we've also been very flexible to our model. So we found that one of our specials isn't their favorite to transition to. So what we did is we brought it to them, and then it became something that they enjoy. At Sandburg, we had to think a little differently because you don't do specials in the same way. The students at Sandburg get a rotation of elective classes, they're related arts classes. So they get art, music, media. There's a STEM class, things like that. So one of our teachers, she's a gen ed science teacher. Her name is Valeria Cardenas, and she is also special ed certified. And so we asked her to go on a special mission for us and see if she could create an adaptive related arts class. So she did. She called it Creative Learning. And what she did is she created a class that rotates on 6 different themes. The themes are science, engineering, music, art, cooking, and technology. And every week they rotate through those and then start back at the beginning. And they've done a bunch of different options, things like the 2 students in that picture playing the bongos. It was because they created a project where they created a suitcase with a passport and they went on a whole tour of the world and learning about music. And right there, they're learning about the drumming traditions in Ghana. In the bottom left-hand corner, they learned how to measure and follow recipes, and they made pizza together. And then we've done a number of different science experiments the kids absolutely love. And then right there in the middle is one of our biggest successes. Again, along with that foundation that we want our students to have access to all the things. In 6th grade, all of the students at Sandburg participate in something called a polygon project. It's where they create, they measure, and they make pictures out of polygons. And so what they did in their class is they used magnetiles to trace, they used foam, they used plastic shapes, and they made their own polygon pictures. And 4 of them ended up being finalists in the 6th grade competition, which is really cool. All right, next. So we have to thank you because over the years, you guys and all the previous boards have supported us in developing all of this. Like Cindy said, we started this journey developing self-contained with very little knowledge of what we were supposed to do. And next year we will have 8 self-contained classes across the district. In addition, we will have numerous instructional programs and integrated programs and programs that give our students the opportunity to learn their way. And so we appreciate that, and we thank you for your continued flexibility and support.
You know, we can say you're welcome, but I think we should say thank you for everything. It's a very obvious passion that you have for carrying on and doing all this, you know, and it's just amazing, you know, that you give these kids the opportunity to learn and to grow, you know, so thank you.
May I ask a question? You mentioned the academics. How do you introduce the academics into this? Is that just part of the daily?
To all of the programming?
Yeah.
Yes, it is a part of all the different pieces. So the big thing is just differentiating to what the students need. So like in Carrie and Kelly's program, they look at what are they able to do in terms of reading, writing, math, those pieces, and then they implement it. And every program is a little different in terms of the level and need of the student, but the academics are always the first focus.
So you had mentioned, like the example you used with putting the jacket on,
Yeah.
which is an accomplishment. Is there any way, or do you see those improvements in the academics as well?
Every child definitely learning at different rates, and
Yeah.
but you definitely see improvements, and it's big because we haven't had the opportunity to have a lot of them for 3 years. It's really awesome to watch how they start out in 3rd grade and they end in 4th grade. Like my kids have a writer's notebook, and I think your students do too. And I've got one student who's moving on to 6th grade, and she has her writer's notebook from 3rd grade where it was writing 1 sentence or 1 word. And now we still have it because we keep it throughout the years. It's writing a paragraph or with, you know, details. So it's been so like awesome to watch that progress. And it's slower than what you might expect of a child in general education, but being our self-contained classrooms, we're able to do that.
If I could touch on that too, it's been very exciting to see some of our students as their skills strengthen. We're now finding ways that they can integrate into the classroom settings for academic pieces. For example, our reading intervention Orton Gillingham program. We have students that push out for portions of math, portions of the Orton Gillingham. Almost all of our students push in for the social emotional learning time. But as their skills progress, we definitely get excited when we find, hey, we can also find ways to integrate them into academic times because their skills are coming along so nicely. So that's very exciting to see.
So just to follow up on what some of the other comments were. Listening to what you were saying, there's clearly a passion that you displayed with what you're doing. And the other piece of it that I sense is the satisfaction that you get from making a difference. Because you clearly are making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And I thank you for that. This is wonderful. Great job. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. That makes sense.
And a lot of the IP meetings, we say to the parents, like, we learn more from your kids than
Every day.
they are
Mhm.
teaching us about perseverance, that they're teaching us about, you know, setting goals, using habit 2, where they begin with the end in mind. It's not.
Well,
So we say we are the lucky ones. We are.
thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to just take a quick moment to say thank you for all your hard work and dedication. And I want to celebrate too, not just the academics, but all the extracurriculars like the kickball games and the volleyball and the specials. I think for a district that really focuses on the equity piece to show that we go, you know, beyond the academics and are really trying to make this a welcoming environment for every student. I think it's incredible.
And I think that's important. Equity isn't just what we perceive it to be. Equity includes everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other?
I do want to add
go ahead.
something, just like I think all of my colleagues mentioned, thank you so much for everything that you do. I know we don't see like the whole team, like the paraprofessionals, every single person that works with every child, just please let them know that we are very grateful to see all of the work that you guys have done in so many years, not just 1 year, but I do, like you said, I do feel the passion and I can see it, and thank you so much for working with everybody. And I do have a comment. I would like to have heard a little bit more on the Washington piece and see how you guys all connect, because it's so nice to see how everybody's doing it at their own level. I would have liked to see that little extra piece, which I know they're also included, but I really would like to see that maybe next time, or they can come and share a little bit of what's going on in that level as well. I did get to spend some time field day with Washington students, and they did participate, they did everything, and the paraprofessionals working with the children and the teachers were really amazing. So thank you so much for everything. And please don't feel like, you know, you owe something to us. I think at this time, and we're here to support you guys. So, you know, if you guys are in need of something, any type of resources, or if you're already foreseeing something that's going to happen in the near future, please bring it up to us, to any of us here, because we would like to be ready for when you guys come up. We have a plan for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, other stuff. Moving on to teaching and learning.
Good evening. I do not have cute pictures of kids or fun glow in the dark rooms, but I get to tell you that we're gonna apply for more grants this year to help fund all of those wonderful projects. It's that time of year where annually the state asks us to review an encompassing document, identifying multiple grants and how each of those grants work independently of each other and work together. And that's called the Consolidated District Plan. It's not a reflection of us consolidating with other districts, but just a reflection of us consolidating our grants together. And so it is our title 1, 2, 3, 4, our IDEA grant, our preschool for all, as well as our bilingual plan and the new grant we'll be receiving this year for Washington's status as part of the school improvement plan. Any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you for the little one pager at the end this year.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
It's a really long document to begin with, so I really appreciated the review this year. It was great.
Yes, Stacy was instrumental in providing me with that sample. I thought this is brilliant. So thank you, Mrs. Gorman.
The other version is a long read.
It is, and the font's tiny. I tried to highlight it to help you identify the sections, but at the end of the day, the one pager is a lot easier on the eyes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's reports.
Good evening, everybody. Time of year, we have a lot of housekeeping to go through. First report for your consideration is the annual safety drills report. Every public school needs to submit this at the end of the year. Mr. Fred Cleora is responsible for the reports for both school districts. So he does complete that working in conjunction with our building principals. So that we would recommend and request that the board please approve those safety drills. Once approved, we will be sending them to the Regional Office of Education to make sure that we stay in compliance. Press 114, this is the second reading. There isn't really any changes. There isn't any changes from our last meeting. The one question that is in that document that we need to answer is for policy 5100, which is the professional development for our staff that are required, and that professional development is required of all public schools in Illinois. Our recommendation would be that the board respond no. And what that no means is we do not need the added detail of all of the professional developments that are already listed in the Illinois School Code. We would just rather reference that information is in the school code. So that way updates come, it's happening in the Illinois School Code. We don't need to then go through that process with our board packet or for our policies, I should say, to make those updates. Outside of that, the one other bigger change that was in there, hopefully you were able to have a chance to read. That was in regards to the new policy that came out 2270, and that was regards to the discrimination, harassment of race, color, and national orientation. That was consolidated and put in and added some of the other descriptors. That is a new policy that public schools will be looking to adopt before the beginning of the school year. And we'd recommend that we do that. Okay. Next item, the board has provided feedback on who would like to attend the III conference in November. And what we do need to have take place now is for the board to be able to approve the expenses, at least to attend the conference, and hotel fees that would be associated with that. Right now, that fee is right now $5,040. What I'd say is, I appreciate the board going. I think it's a very valuable time for everybody because we're able to meet other boards along with District 120. I think there's a lot of collaboration time, and through all the panel sessions, we bring back valuable information. I think we learn and become better as a school district. So thank you for being willing to do that. Finally, but not be the last part, so we got other stuff to go, but I'm proud to announce that the super eval document is done. All of you should have received notice around the 15th that you should have access to that document. So please look to see if you did receive that email. If you did not, please reach out to Anna so we can make sure that gets taken care of. We did look in the document. We have one, there's somebody's partially completing. I don't get to see who that is. I just get a summary number. So we just get an idea of where we're at. The plan would be this for a timeline. We'd ask that by the end of the week, 5/24, that everybody provide the input. And it's in the document too. So when you log in, it'll show you due dates that are in there. So then that gives another week. By 5/31, things would be consolidated, or gives them time to do that into a comprehensive document. And then by 6/11, which would be our joint board meeting, and this timeline's working for both boards also, is both boards then enclosed, you'll have a chance to go through the document as a board. You will at 75, wouldn't be interactive with 120, making sure you're in alignment and agreement with that final evaluation. So that time period between 5/31 and 6/11 gives Christie that opportunity to make sure things are in order with the document. And then finally, we would, you and I, as a collective, plan on the 7/9 board meeting to be able to go through any questions and any dialogue that we want to have from the evaluation from this past year. It's the first time we're doing this. It's gonna be a learning experience. I'll share, I got frustrated a couple times going through it. So let's make sure we give that feedback also, and just let's be kind and patient, because we're all gonna be learning as we go through it, okay? Any questions on the topics that I had for you this evening?
Is there any issues at all with the safety drills?
Well, sir,
Is it still in the timeline to get all those phones installed in the schools?
yeah, plans to have the phones installed, like we talked about, yep.
I have a quick comment on the super eval.
Sure.
When you do go to start it, it's gonna prompt you if you want to create a new evaluation with pre-populated responses or create an evaluation from scratch. So I don't know which one we should be choosing. I did the pre-populated one to start it, and so that one's gonna give you all of Dr. Meyer's responses, how he's evaluating himself, and then you have the opportunity to kind of go back and change it from there. And then under each thing, there's like a little link where you can click on it to get more input. There's like a reflection from Dr. Myers that you can see in there too. I do recommend going in there and like playing around, because it's going to take you a little while to kind of just figure out how it all works. But once you do figure it out, I think it's kind of easy.
Yep. So I think it's the same, like what I'm glad you're sharing that,
Yeah.
because I don't get to see that. The process, the easiest way, everything should have some type of statement on it from me, at least some type of reflection, and then underneath it, there's usually a supporting evidence piece. And so always click on those supporting evidence pieces, and I tried to do my best with making sure if there was something supportive that was identified in the written part.
And I got a little confused because I did the pre-populated one, and because it's pre-populated, it'll kind of show you that the status is already completed because they're already pre-populated. So you got to make sure you understand that you still need to go into each one and give your rating. It'll kind of show that your status is already pretty complete, if I'm understanding it correctly.
And then is it that once we've all got, so you want everyone to go in by Friday this week in order to do our piece of it? And then I think you said that my job would be to go through it once the whole document is put together on the 31st. So who's responsible for that piece between the 24th and the 31st?
The document then I believe comes where it's the consolidation piece, where I think it goes to where you have the ability to be able to do,
Okay,
to review the feedback from everybody.
okay. So I will get some sort of notification that that's ready for me to do,
I
or,
certainly hope so, Christie.
okay,
If you don't, let me know.
okay, but and my question is just to make sure I'm understanding. So I would be getting that around the 31st, not the 24th.
Correct.
Okay. And for everyone's edification, I won't be back until the 2nd, so I probably won't get to look at it until the 2nd. But if there are issues with something not being filled out or whatever, I will then reach out. That's what I'll be following up with each of you to ask to follow
Yep.
through with that so that it's compiled and ready to go. And then do I submit it through the system? It's not Anna that I'm dealing with. It's through the system to say ready to go.
I would believe so, yes.
Okay.
These are the questions that we need to get answered.
Okay. I just didn't know to whom I should be directing that. That's
I believe so. I'll be working through you,
okay.
going to the board. But if there's something else differently,
Okay.
we will call them and they can provide us a little more direction, being super valuable.
When you say them, you mean the super EL people?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm understanding. All right. And then you said I could perhaps reach out, Peter and I should collaborate to make sure we're seeing the same thing or doing the same thing.
Yeah, that'd probably be helpful.
All right.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to committee updates. So first we had board policy. Besides Press Plus today, we're not doing that because we had already agreed we were not going to do it since both of our policy members were not initially going to be at the May meeting until, it wasn't until the end of the meeting, the last meeting, that we moved the May meeting up to today. So, we'll see everybody's, policy updates at the June meeting, which we had already put on the spreadsheet last time. So that's the only update there. And then moving on to finance advisory.
Meeting June 4th,
Okay.
ahead of the June 11th. So that we have information for the budget.
Shared services.
So most recently, we met with the firm that we're using for the superintendent search and kind of fine tooth combed the timeline for all of that. So we're really going to report out a lot more about that at our joint meetings in the next 2 months. And then is there anything to add?
And that was the main focus of our last meeting, was the timeline for the search.
And they'll be at the July meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. They being BWP.
Community outreach.
Yeah, so we met together recently. I'm gonna pass out a handout to talk about what came up at our last meeting, that recognition process for the Board of Education. So here you'll kind of see our notes on what we're looking for. So we were thinking that the principals would work together at their meetings to determine a maximum of 2 individuals or 2 groups for the whole district to be recognized at one of our board meetings. And then at the bottom, you'll see the months that we're looking to make this happen, which is every month except for our joint board meetings. So once the individuals are identified or the groups, we will, the superintendent office will reach out to notify the families or the groups or the employees. We will also have certificates printed that we can present to them. And then at the meeting, it'll be right after the citizens' comments. And they will be recognized either by the superintendent or perhaps a principal. And it'll just be a short blurb on why, you know, we're recognizing them. We'll do a quick photo op and we will, hand out the certificates and then excuse them from the rest of the meeting if they, you know, have other places to be. Do you have any questions about that? We looked and Dr. Myers was great. He had 3 different districts give input, districts in our area, and we're kind of going more towards the model of what Fremont does. The other districts, I mean, we're all very unique, but we liked how this left it open to recognizing anyone and not necessarily based on academic growth or athletic achievement. So,
And not necessarily requiring something every month. So this gives us the option, if we don't need to come up with something just to fill a spot.
yeah.
If there's nothing, that's fine, but if there is, then we can do it. And if there happens to be a super heavy month with like 4 or 5 things, then we could do 2 for the next few meetings to spread it out, if that's what we decided to do. So would there be, so leaving it up to the principals, we as a board wouldn't really know who we're recognizing until we come to the meeting or see the packet and then we have them be recognized. So it's not that we would necessarily be picking it, selecting it, doing it. It's really more as a district, your recommendation is as a district that we just collectively recognize whomever the superintendents and the principals think is necessary. I like that
And
idea.
there was another district that we kind of looked at where the community could nominate people, and then it was up to either a committee or the board to decide, and we didn't like that case, so.
Well, it's just one other thing to do, and if it's not, I mean, people can, if they want to nominate someone, they can come and tell us at the public comments, and
Yeah.
we can nod our heads. Okay. I like that.
So just a couple of the comments. One of the things that we wanted to make sure of is that we're not going like 0 to 60 here. And that, we have something in place that's gonna allow us to
Flexibility.
fit District 75. And at the same time, not put a burden on the staff where they're having to, run around and get all of this. So we tried to keep it simple and yet accommodate what everybody would be saying and doing, and not just focusing on sports or academics. So it kind of spreads it out. And there's that word again with equity as we go through looking at this. So
Well, it sounds like it's a good balance between not wanting to put extra burden on the staff to deal with it, but also not on the board to have yet another
Yeah.
committee or another thing to deal with. Just
yes,
collectively, this allows us to recognize, which is the point that we all wanted to make sure we were dealing with without overdoing it. So looks good to me. Anyone else have any other comments on this particular recommendation?
Thanks for looking at the other schools and putting this together.
I think the community is really gonna like this because they're gonna see where their money is going to and how the individuals are getting, all of this into place. So thank you for going through it.
So this is not a policy we're putting together. This is just basically an informal process to help direct the superintendent's office on how they should proceed. Okay, I like it. All right. Okay, moving on to representative updates, starting with the STEAM Foundation. We did, so as at our last meeting here, we had not yet met since the pizza throwdown, so I had no information. We have since met and brainstormed a little bit of some pros and cons. I think they're gonna try to space it out a little bit farther from spring break next year, since it was the week after. That seemed to cause things to be a little bit depressed as opposed to recent past. But since we've got a new board on that board and trying to figure stuff out, we're working on how to improve the processes and change up some of the events for next year. So we've got that going. They did, I want to say it was right around $8,000 that they raised. So it was still a good amount. A little lower than some of the time in the past. There's some discussion about, number one, they're working with the, I know I think it's the, don't remember the committee. I know it's Tanya Burgers to deal with the dates so that we can work out coordinating the dates of the two events that are two big events for next year to fit into the calendar. So they're working on that. The idea is for the fall, instead of the night at the races, probably doing a little more of a trivia night type thing and involving kids in it somehow. Like kids might be posing the questions in advance. They wouldn't be at the event, but having it be a little bit more kid and district focused. And so we'll see, just trying to keep things a little new, so and to increase in involvement. So should be fun. Also trying to do a focus on, they're developing a system to push it out to the teachers and all with how to easily, without making it an arduous task, but how to easily allow teachers to request stipends and grants that the STEAM Foundation, because that's one of their focuses, is they want to help provide stuff that teachers need in order to meet some of the STEAM needs in their classrooms. So I think they're going to put together maybe a Google form or something in order to make it easy, because if there's a whole long application, the feedback was a lot of teachers may not want to bother filling it out. but we want to recognize that. So I think there's going to be an effort to put out some sort of flyer, and I'll talk to Dr. Myers about some parameters and questions they had about that. And maybe reaching out to the new teachers in the district when they do that, so that they know about it, and then getting something, and then getting something out to all of the staff at the beginning of the year to let them know about it, and trying to do something a little bit more like monthly throughout the year of giving away some grants and some funds, again, more to support the staff and the teachers with their STEAM needs in their classrooms, since that was the reason they were created. So I think there's good. They're always looking for more board members. So if anyone knows of anyone that wants to get involved, it's not terribly time consuming compared to a lot of other committees and boards and such. So we're looking for people. So the CEDAW.
We did receive a response to the resolution that we voted on last month. I think Chris, you also got that letter from CEDAW. I'll just try to summarize it real quick here. Basically, the CEDAW did receive the resolution. Their articles of joint agreement state that there has to be consensual withdrawal request, and those must be considered by each member district. So not just the governing board, but each member's board of education, the full board. The member district boards must consider whether to approve a consensual withdrawal, and must do so by a written resolution. So all 31 of the districts have to do a resolution to accept it. If one single board says no or doesn't file the resolution, then that means the consensual withdrawal is not approved. And then D75, we would have to appeal to the regional office of education. But CEDAW did accept the resolution and the timeline that we requested in their resolution. So
Which was to wait until January to
Right.
see if we can kind of work out the differences first.
Right, so it was nice to just get that confirmation that the resolution was received and accepted, and that timeline was accepted. There was also a report about financial restructure in CEDAW. Tuition is the major area of revenue for CEDAW, and right now CEDAW states that the current tuition rates do not cover the amount of program costs. And it was also stated that the fund balance may fall below the recommended level that's required by ISB. So there's a big financial restructure that's going on in CEDAW. Aside from that, there will be at the next governing board meeting on June 5th, will be another presentation and the voting of the FY25 budget. And at the exec board meeting in April, they approved it and are recommending the governing board to approve it as well. So that'll be in a couple of minutes.
The governing board also has the withdrawal request on there.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Village liaison. Okay, so at this time, we would normally go into the board action items for all of the items that we put forth, and we would normally do the consent agenda first, but instead of doing that, we're gonna put that after the exec session. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed with the board action items, not including the consent agenda just yet. We'll get to that later. So if there's, just gonna proceed with that. So I recommend that the Board of Education of Mundelein and move, I should say, that the Board of Education of Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to authorize the administration to encumber and expend up to 75% of the 24-25 preliminary budgets, which are being developed within budget guidelines established by the Board of Education, and to pay salaries, benefits within the board approved rates and schedules before the official budget approval.
Second.
Secretary, please call roll.
Xavier Hutt.
Aye.
Rose. Aye. Carl.
Aye.
Kitzke.
Aye.
Durin.
Aye.
Billetier. Aye. Aguirre.
Aye. I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to adopt the resolution of the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75, requesting the conveyance of certain property from the Special Education District of Lake County as presented.
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Hitzke. Aye. Aguirre.
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye. Durin.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Rose.
Aye.
I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve and accept the engagement of audit services with Miller Cooper and Company Limited.
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Rose.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Durin.
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye. Hitzke. Aye. Aguirre.
Aye. I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the Consolidated District Plan or the CDP as presented. Second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Aguirre.
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye. Durin.
Aye.
Rose.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Hitzke. Aye.
I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve Carl Sandburg Middle School, Mechanics Grove Middle School, Washington Early Learning Center, and Lincoln Early Childhood Center required safety and drill plans as presented.
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve press policy number 114, second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I move that the Board of Education of Mundelein Elementary School District 75 approve attending the 2024 Illinois Association of School Boards Joint Annual Conference in Chicago, Illinois, in the estimated amount of $5,040.
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye. Aguirre.
Aye.
Durin.
Aye.
Hitzke. Aye. Carl.
Aye.
Rose.
Aye.
So at this time, I move that the Board of Education will now adjourn and enter into executive session at 7:55 PM.
Second.
Secretary, please.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Hitzke. Aye. Rose.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
Aguirre.
Aye.
Durin.
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye.
And just for clarity, we are going into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body, determine its validity according to statute, just to be clear. Okay, the Board of Education meeting will now return to open session and come to order at 8:46 PM. Secretary, please call the roll.
Fingerhut.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Carl.
Here.
Hitzke. Here. Durin.
Here.
Pelletier. Here. Aguirre.
Okay, we request that if a board member would like any item from the consent agenda to be removed from the consent agenda or tabled for any further discussion, now is the time to communicate that request.
Yes, can we please remove the personnel report from the consent agenda?
Okay. Are there any other requests for any other items to be removed from the personal or the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing no requests to table any further items, we will proceed with. Do we proceed with consent agenda first or the one removed from?
Consent agenda as amended.
Yes.
Okay. I move that the consent agenda without the personnel report as amended be approved. But by the Board of Education of Mundelein School District 75, accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So amended. So,
Secretary, please call the roll. I think he seconded that.
got it, second.
Fingerhut,
Here, aye.
Hitzke,
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Pelletier. Aye. Durin,
Aye.
Carl,
I,
Aguirre.
Aye. Okay, so, yeah, I move that the Board of Education of Elementary School District 75 approve the personnel reports as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
I wasn't gonna try.
Secretary, please call the roll.
I wasn't gonna try again. That's okay.
Did you? You hit that in the second then?
Right.
Fingerhut.
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Carl.
No.
Hitzke,
Aye.
Pelletier. No. Durin,
No.
Aguirre.
No. So moving on to the president's prerogative. This is my opportunity to address the board members. Does anybody have any items that they want to see on a future agenda that have not already been discussed or put aside for that? I will just, is it the June meeting? Which is the one that we're supposed to have the book read? Okay, I'm just making that reminder to everybody since we didn't talk about it earlier as part of the shared services committee. So it's part one that you want us to have read.
will really be kind of the intro with the June meeting.
Okay, so that's fine. That's why I'm just clarifying so everyone has their homework down.
Yes, yeah, we'll give you a little bit more background on the book that I know you have, but.
Okay, so everyone's reading the intro.
I thought there was no reading requirement.
Oh, is there not? Then I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was trying to help.
We have already read part one, or that was already assigned to us, and that's the first section for the joint one.
Okay,
So
so there's
you-
no further reading on that. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had that, and then everyone should have the policy spreadsheet that we created and assigned roles last meeting. So that one we'll do at the June meeting. I think we had, I'll have to look at, I think we'd said not doing the July meeting, but the June meeting we're doing in our separate session. So, okay. I have no further items. Does anyone, if there's nothing else to come before the board? I move.
Can I clarify just
Oh,
in
sure.
open session that my vote for no was due to the financial increase of administration?
Okay. Okay, so if there's no further business to come before the board, the meeting stands adjourned at 8:52 p.m. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
On favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?